Hey, it's the Empire, Geoboxing Empire, Backstart Boxing. Now, man, you guys see the footage from my boy Jermell Lions Only Charlo, man, in the highly anticipated rematch with him and Castano, man. They're scheduled to fight May 14th. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's when they're scheduled to fight. And this is a really big deal because the first fight was so electrifying. It was such a high-paced fight, and it was so much waves in the fight, right? It was back and forth waves, right? There was times where Castano was imposing himself on Charlo, and then there's time where Charlo was imposing himself on Castano. Now, a lot of people were disappointed in the draw. A lot of people thought Mel was losing. I thought Mel was winning the fight, majority of the fight, because the fight, for the most part, took place in the center of the ring, or it was what Jermell was backing up until he got to the ropes, right? When Castano had him on the ropes, he had Charlo in trouble, but for the most part, the fight was fought in the middle of the ring, and Charlo just kept backing up too much and giving Castano basically too much credit. But you guys see him catching and shooting on here, mimicking Castano's hyper-aggressive nature of throwing punches no matter what. And Charlo is walking forward while his trainer is throwing punches at him, right? Mimicking, pushing a volume puncher back. A lot of times these volume punchers throw a lot of punches, but they stop throwing so many punches when they fight a guy who's a power puncher, right? The fight I like using, because it's the most recent fight, is Gervonta Tank Davis versus Leo Santa Cruz. Leo Santa Cruz is an aggressive volume puncher, throws a lot of punches per round, almost 100 punches per round. But Gervonta Tank Davis is a power puncher, and all it takes is one shot from a power puncher. He's not trying to overwhelm you. He's just trying to stop you. So that being said, man, Mel is one of the better fighters at 154. He's an elite dog, and the thing is, his record is really slept on. The guy, he beat Tony Harrison in the rematch. He beat Austin Trout, beat Erickson Lubin, and Charles Hatley, John Jackson. The list goes on and on. Vanis Metarosen. His fight is deep. Even Gabriel Rosado, he just had a big win recently at the Zone, right? That's a deep resume at 154. And he comfortably beat all these fighters. The only fighter he really had a challenge with was Tony Harrison. And I guess the John Jackson fight, he was losing that fight until he stopped him. But the deciding factor in most of Jermell's fights is his power. The guy has power, So, the thing is, I think he's getting back to his fundamentals and not just trying to knock a guy out one shot, but being cognizant of his defense as well. Now that Mel is knocking guys out, he's basically been defensively lacking over the years. Now, Castano, he's looking great. He came out of nowhere when he knocked out Patrick Teixeira. It was wild stuff. A lot of people didn't think he could pull it off because all the belts were under another organization before Castano came along and got the win. A lot of people thought this guy was just some guy racking up wins with really no credentials. A lot of you know what they say, right? Undefeated fighter who fought nobody. But little did they know that Castano is a beast, power puncher, and he's a intelligent pressure fighter who throws the right punches at the right time to really beat you. So, all that being said, man, this fight was delayed. Castano pointed out as some kind of injury, and this fight has been rescheduled till the March 14th. So this is gonna be a big one, man. This is gonna be for Undisputed. Man, there's a lot of them happening this year. One was happening with Devin Dream Haney and Gambosis. This one's gonna be happening first with Jermell and Castano. So, it's gonna be a big deal. This fight is gonna change the landscape of the division. A lot of people are talking about Mel versus people like Terrence Bud Crawford or Errol Spence, whoever wins the fight. And, that's gonna be, no matter who wins the fight between Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, there would be the first time in boxing history, there would be two undisputed, there would be one guy who became undisputed twice. So that's going to be historic. That's going to be the first man to do that. So this is definitely changing the landscape of the not just boxing, but historically. This is historic. This is a historic fight because the chances of Mel and Errol fighting or Terrence fighting are extremely high. Mel already talked about how he'd fight Errol Spence Jr. and Jermell Charlo already threw out warnings to Terrence Bud Crawford, talking about he'll fight him whenever. He said he even actually stopped Terrence Crawford. He was actually offended that he was even called out by Terrence Crawford. So that fight would definitely be a big one, because Mel thinks he's just light years ahead of Terrence Crawford, not because of just the accomplishments, but you gotta respect the division, and Mel is the king of 154 division until proven otherwise. He does have a majority of the titles right now, so you have to say he's the king of the 154 division until he loses, right? He has most of the titles. Castano doesn't have all the titles, right? He only has one of the 4 titles. So that being said, we're gonna see how this whole thing plays out, but I'm liking Mel in his footage. He's looking sharp, he's looking ready, and he's looking like he's ready for a war. He's ready to war, he's ready for counters, and he's just cognizant of what he needs to do in this fight, right? And, a lot of times fighters, they'll lose and then they can't accept the loss. Luckily, Mel has a phenomenal trainer who actually knows what to do in the ring. It was wild because during the fight, Mel's trainer was telling him exactly what to do, and he was telling him the right things to do, which was stay off the ropes. And Mel, he said, yeah, but he didn't do it. Wild stuff. But his trainer is an elite trainer, trains Errol Spence Jr. as well. If Mel becomes undisputed and Errol Spence becomes undisputed, that's trainer of the decade, no doubt about it. That'd be the first time any trainer had 2 undisputed champions at the same time, which would be wild stuff. That'd be trainer of the decade, if not of all time. Wild stuff. And then ultimately their fighters will have to see each other to see who's really the best. I'm not sure if they want to bask in both of them being undisputed for some time or what, but there's some good fights for Mel after, I guess. A lot of things could happen. But that's for another discussion. We gotta actually see who was gonna win a fight between Castano and Mel. A lot of times these fighters, they sleep on these Latin fighters. Now, one thing is really wild. If you actually pay attention to people's region, they fight different. Now, Mel, when he fought Brian Castano, understand that Castano is Argentinian. Argentinians are known for power, right? Look at Sergio Martinez, right? Marcus Maidana, Lucas Batiste. Those guys are hard hitters. That's what Argentina is known for. Known for guys with punching power and who are aggressive, right? Mexico, and other countries, they're known for, at least Mexico's known for overwhelming you. But Argentine fighters, they're extremely dangerous. I think they're the most dangerous Latin American fighter you can fight. So yeah, I think Argentine fighters are the most dangerous fighters of any of those countries. So yeah. Anyway, this is gonna be a big fight, man. I'll be really curious if any other fighters from Argentina are gonna show up. Will Sergio Martinez show up for Brian Castano? Will Marcus Maidana show up for Brian Castano? We'll see, man. We'll see. But I understand that Brian Castano right now is the #1 fighter out of Argentina in the 154 division, right? So it's big news, big stuff, and this is gonna be a really big deal. Let me know how you guys feel about it, though. Like, comment, subscribe. This is the Empire, Geobasket Empire. Peace.